27-year-old Jared Volio of Redby, Minnesota is facing 3 counts of felony assault, dangerous weapon in Bemidji. According to court documents, on February 12th at 1:31 a.m., deputies were dispatched to 607 Nordic Avenue Northwest for a report of an assault. Officers received reports that Volio was on the back deck, then the front deck of the residence, armed with a large machete and knife. EMS was dispatched to stand by, and the mobile crisis unit was dispatched. Deputies confronted Bolio in the front yard, reading from the criminal complaint, quote, the sergeant observed Bolio on the front deck with a machete in one hand and fixed-blade knife in the other. Bolio was waving the cutting instruments around and mentioning how he wanted to die. Bolio stated, "Are we going to do this?" Bolio would take combative stances and was continuously moving toward law enforcement while also kicking a bin in front of him as sort of a cover. At one point, Bolio requested a soda, and he was given one and went right back to waving a machete and knife around. Deputies took turns attempting to calm Bolio down, but were not making progress. One deputy was providing lethal cover with his department-issued sidearm multiple times. Bolio pointed at that deputy and stated, "Looking at you." Bolio's statements toward the deputy brought extreme concern for his life. The deputy appeared to be fixated on, Bolio appeared to be fixated on the deputy specifically. Bolio then exclaimed in a very loud voice at the deputy, "Looking at you a final time," jumped the porch railing and began to charge at the deputy with both knives at the ready. At this point, the deputy aimed his department-issued sidearm with Bolio while retreating and screaming for him to stop. The deputy was in such fear for his life that he let out a scream in fear. A sergeant observed Bolio jump the railing and heads toward the deputy. The deputy was fearful for his partners were in danger due to Bolio's unpredictable behavior. A sergeant made a pepper ball announcement. The sergeant then aimed his pepper ball launcher at Bolio's thoracic cavity and began to deploy projectiles at him to defend himself and his co-workers. The sergeant made pepper ball announcements during the deployment of the projectiles. Bolio immediately dropped to the ground. The sergeant began to advance on Bolio while he was going to the ground. He laid in a prone position in the front yard with his head pointed towards the sergeant. The sergeant informed Bolio he was under arrest. The sergeant kicked the fixed-blade knife that had been on the ground in front of Bolio in a westerly direction. The sergeant directed Bolio into handcuffing position, and he was taken into custody, unquote. A resident at the home said Bolio had been there since the day before, threatening people, and several had minor injuries. I'm Neil Carlson reporting for iNewZ.TV.